President William Ruto, just like he turned the police to be a tool of oppression, he has also decided to turn education into a tool of oppression. Right now, I do not even know if I can call President William Ruto the president or maybe the cabinet secretary of education. Yesterday, the president hosted a town hall meeting together with university student leaders. And one question you'd beg to ask, is he the cabinet secretary of education? Or is he even an expert when it comes to education policy? When you see President William Ruto hosting a meeting at State House with student leaders, or even a town hall meeting to discuss on the new funding model, just shows you that the Ministry of Education that he has so entitled to work on this funding model has failed him. And that has been the call that we have been making throughout this movement for him to change on the leadership position that he has been entrusting in various sectoral ministries. But he has refused, and now he is doing simple PR stunts with even student leaders. The student leaders did a very wrong thing to go to the town hall meeting and the meeting at State House, because the new funding model is a retrogressive mode for education. We want a conversation that talks about free education. We do not want a conversation about a model that classifies people according to their income. Right now, there's been a looming topic about the consolidation of all education schemes, including county bursary, the presidential bursaries, and even the women representative bursaries. And just a while ago, it has been met by a very high resistance from certain leaders, certain MPs who are telling students that, you know, if you take away the bursary, certain marginalized students in counties would not be able to pay their school fees. Well, that is a wrong thing, because bursaries are the biggest sector of budgeted corruption in this country. Last year alone, MPs failed to provide audit accounts for the bursary allocation at various counties. So we want the bursary to be taken away from our legislators, and so that they can fulfill their mandate constitutionally only, and leave alone the bursary to be consolidated so that we can work on free education. And I want to tell parents, I want to tell students, stop talking about the new funding model. Talk about free education. Our country is capable of providing free education. We do not want anything to do with the new funding model. We want the president to come out. In fact, this is an opportunity, like it was said in the town hall, an opportunity to redeem yourself, something legacy that you can live on. Come out and tell people, we have consolidated all these schemes and provided a law so that we can provide free education. That is the discussion we are having. And Kenyans do not heed to this new funding model. Because as I say, the new funding model is a policy failure. If you look at the model, the system itself has failed in assessing the information background of students. Another thing, the system does not also address the issue about reassessing other issues when it comes to whether the household income increases or when it even decreases. So the system is a total education failure, and we want the president to come out and say, just like he did with the finance bill, that he rejects this new funding model, and also tell Kenyans and assure them that he's coming up with policies so that he can provide for free education. And one last advice to our students at the university. Student leaders are not going to save you. They will not save you 100%. All those student leaders who were called at State House and were given a token of 25,000 each of them, none of them has come out openly, publicly, even through media, to criticize this model. Why have they not done it? It's because they have already eaten the money from these government leaders. So they are already fearing for the publicity in criticizing the same model. So student leaders are not going to save you. I want an awakening of all students. Come out. Just like the revolution of students in Bangladesh, we are all going to come out. We are still waiting for the resuming of all continuing students, and we will come out publicly and shut down this new funding model.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyone else?
It's him. It's him.
Thank you very much. My name is Ali Kefa, senior most comrade, all universities of Kenya. Now we are disappointed and we must let our frustrations be known to the relevant authorities, that is the Office of the President, the Ministry of Education, about this nonsensical conversation of new funding model. Our question is, what is the problem with the old model that we had, that it has now to be revised at this particular point in time? Retired President, the late Mwai Kibaki, had a vision of free education, and he ensured the model in place is working to favor the common mwananchi. And in the entire power of President Kenyatta, we use the same funding model and we didn't have the issues. Why is it that President Ruto feels now that the funding model has an issue? As a matter of fact, when we registered the students the other week at the University of Nairobi, we realized that majority of students were placed in band 4 and 5, which receives the minimum payout from the government. And from Kenya, we know that the poverty level index of Kenyans. So it is not logical that more than 80% of the students were in band 4 and 5. What is the problem that is happening? Is this a scheme from the education board to steal money? Yes, because we were being told that the people in band 1 are people who have received bursaries in high school, and you know clearly that the bursaries is a budgeted corruption scheme, and people who have received bursaries are the same children of the haves. The have-nots don't receive the bursaries. So what we are telling the president, this model need to be scrapped off, and not until it meets the rights of the university students. We're going to come out, and we are not threatening. We're going to do it. Yes? I have seen student leaders go to State House to pick some tokens. Those are not student leaders. Those are crooks implanted by the administrations of the university. And we don't recognize them at any point. The students' voice must be heard. And we call upon the president to act on this matter and scrap off the nonsensical thing of the new funding model. If he doesn't do that, we are going to hit the streets on a date that will be communicated once the students resume back to the university. Thank you.
If you see, for example, people that are went to private schools, right? Some private schools, ziko huko Westlands, Kileleshwa, and some private schools are in the slums. You can't put such students in the same category, surely. Yeah, so the old funding model was way better than this one. That's the whole point. Like, mtu amesomeshwa na donors, right? Yes. Then when they come to campus, you want now to start categorizing them as if their parents really earn a lot of money, and they don't. People are taken to school by sponsors, even in international schools. But now, when they are going to campus, the donors now they slip out. Then now you want to say that those people are in the same level as the other Kenyans that their parents are earning very high salaries. That is so wrong. Yeah.
Just to answer that about the differences between the old model and the new model. One of the biggest mishaps about this new model is that it is discriminatory in nature. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest essence of education, and particularly public education, is that it should not just be of quality, but it should be of equality. And the famous phrase that they say is that education is the greatest equalizer. So that is something that we do not want. Education is not a transactional affair. It is not a privilege where you decide this person gets this and this person gets this. Education is an equal opportunity for all, whether you are a son of the president, a son of a peasant. So that's the difference between this old model and this new model. This new model is going to categorize us into classes. The old model had a flat rate for all the government scholarship for students who were joining institutions. And that was the biggest advantage. We were the same equally, everyone, in all our institutions.
This new funding model is coming with schemes such as bands. Yeah, there's band 1 to band 5. Yeah, so these bands, the government is issuing some amounts depending on the bands. The list, the band that receives the most amount of money is band 1. Yes, they pay the minimum fees, and even the upkeep loan from ELB is higher. Yes. But then, if you check now quite well, the people who deserve the most band 1, if at all the funding model is working, which is something that's nonsensical, which should not be there. The people in band 1 are the rich people still, yes? The connections they have within the ELB headquarters is when they're squeezed into band 1, yes? And people who most deserve the band 1 are allocated band 5, and band 5 pay the most of the money. So you see, it's better, the previous funding model, it was better that the money is sent direct to the university, so you just have to pay some part of the fees. And then there is equality, yes.
Yes, and to point out on that about the fee is that one thing that people do not notice is that before we had the new funding model, something happened before it. There was a sudden fee increment on all institutions. There was a stakeholder meeting that involved university vice chancellors and also stakeholders at the Ministry of Education. And the conclusion and resolution of that meeting was to increase fees. So before even the new funding model, there was a certain fee increment that we saw. Then that is when they introduced the new funding model. So the new funding model also is a product of fee increment, something that we have been crying for so long. So how do you want us to accept the new funding model when it is adopting a resolution of fee increment that we have been on the street crying for so long about? We have stated that we do not want a retrogressive government that is taking us back to when education was unaffordable. We want the discussion of free education. Why is it that we cannot have this discussion? Why is it that at the town hall meeting, the president could not say that, you know what, we can provide free education, and this is how we can provide free education? Why did he also not tell people that, you know, these are the reasons why we cannot provide free education? Yet, they allow allocation of hundreds of billions to non-entities, such as spousal departments. Why is it that we cannot have that discussion? So I want to challenge the entire population of Kenya. Come out and talk about free education because it is quite possible. That is my biggest plea about this. And the thing that we are calling for directly at this time that is affecting students is that we do not want this model. We want the model withdrawn. We want an interim of the old model that was there before. Nothing to ask for from that.
So all I want to say is that corruption is the biggest expedition in this country. You can't just be introducing things every now and then. And this is what I want to say to the president, with the same energy that he used to introduce this new funding model. What was the rush? With that same energy, let him scrap it off completely. It is oppressing our sisters. I mean, for there right now, maybe it will not oppress me, but in future, I love kids. I have siblings who are in school. I have friends who are joining first year. And I can tell you for a fact, parents will not be able to afford this school fees. For me, I can say my school fees is like 18,000, right? I receive ELB. The school takes ELB, the tuition fee is 4,000. Then there is my upkeep is 14,000. So with that 14,000 and the 4,000, that is enough school fees. I don't have to go battering my parents over school fees again. But right now, the parent now has to pay like 50,000. Hiyo hata hatujahesabu ya EF, hatujahesabu. So that is a lot of money. Some parents even, like in this country, if you are making 50,000 and above, you are among the highest earning people in Kenya. Many people earn between 5,000. Mama Fua ana earn like 300. And then unamwambia alipe 50k. Atatoa wapi? Unataka aibe. So that is very wrong. And this thing should go.
The fee that we are paying, the fee that our predecessors used to pay, and the current fee. Because for me, I'm a law student. And I have a fee for one semester, which is 25,000. But during that semester, I'm also receiving a government scholarship of about 75%. That's why I'm paying that 25,000. And I also have HELB that is paying about 30,000 per semester. So you can see the amount of affordability that has been created by the old model. In fact, when we talk about free education, we're also talking about the affordability of these fees. Of course, we can have free education from primary, free education even in secondary, but even that campus, it has to be affordable. So if I'm paying right now 25,000 and HELB is also covering for about 30,000, and I'm left with just a few 5,000 to pay as school fees, that is quite affordable for most households. And that is what we are really calling for, the disparity between these two systems.
So I just wanted to add that we want to ask the Minister of Education to pronounce himself on this matter, because since he was appointed by the President, he has never talked about the new funding model, which is currently being debated. The other day, the teachers had issued a strike notice. He didn't pronounce himself on that. So we are wondering what is work, because yesterday night, the President, William Ruto, was the one talking about the funding model. So what is the work of the Minister of Education? Why is he there in the first place? So we want to ask him to start working, or else we will force him out of that job hours. Yeah.
After all these urges, there are certain action points that we are going to call. So first of all, we have stated that if the government within this week does not come out and tell us they're going to scrap the new funding model, next week, all continuing students in September will be joining back for their semesters. We are going to organize in every institution from every region, Nyanza, Central, all the way to Coast. And we are going to call off for a day whereby we are going to boycott attending lessons, and everyone is going to be taken to the streets. And we are going to shut down every path and every road in this country. And we are going to call for the scrapping of this new funding model and advocating for free education. It is going to be a student revolution that was seen in Bangladesh. And if you think this is a joke, wait until you see something that unites everyone from every corner, even in Sugoi, where the president himself comes from. It is going to be a revolution that is student-led, a revolution to call for free education, a revolution to call against this unequal opportunity that the president is trying to bring here. And the action that will be seen on that day will be some that has never been witnessed again in this nation.